Happy Thursday, Dolphins fans. Welcome to Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. And on today's show, ESPN roster outlook. We're going to look at their projected starting lineup for the Fins in 2024, as well as their biggest strengths, weaknesses, X factors, starter that should be known more. We'll have it all, as well as the Dolphins being ranked the 11th best roster in the NFL, which made me want to ask you guys this. Fill in the blank for me. The Miami Dolphins have the blank best roster in the NFL. It's our pinned comment today. I want to know what you have to say on the Dolphins roster, so go give your opinion down below. All right, this is the outlook for Miami, and we'll get into the projected starting lineup in the back half of today's video. But ESPN ranked the biggest strength for the Dolphins as their secondary, which is a little bit of a surprise to me, if I'm going to be honest, because if I looked at the Dolphins roster and had to give my biggest strength to this team, it would clearly be wide receiver. You have the best wide receiver duo in the NFL in Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, with Odell Beckham Jr., as well as other good players like Malik Washington, Taj Washington, that can make an impact. Like, I think wide receiver is the strongest point of this offense and team, and I could have already said running back as well. But here's what Mike Clay of ESPN had to say on why cornerback is the biggest strength. Despite saying goodbye to Deshaun Elliott and Xavier Howard during the offseason, the Dolphins remain loaded on the back end. Superstar Jalen Ramsey returns, and the team replaced Xavier Howard with a potential upgrade in Kendall Fuller. Not potential, by the way. It is an upgrade. Slot corner Kader Kohu has proved a gem UDFA fine. Javon Holland is a star at safety, and his new running mate will be Jordan Poyer, the only player in the league with at least 650 tackles, 20 INTs, and 10 sacks over the past 7 seasons, and standout veteran Marcus May. And I have two things that I want to bring up on the Dolphins secondary. One, I do agree. The Dolphins starters and their secondary are absolutely elite. Ramsey and Fuller could also arguably be the best cornerback duo in the NFL. I mean, PFF ranked all the starting cornerbacks in the NFL, and they had Ramsey at number 6 and Fuller at number 8. That's pretty good if you ask me. You also got a really good tandem at safety with Javon Holland and Jordan Poyer. And the depth is where I get concerned, though, because, sure, is the starting group among the best? Yes. But one injury, and I get you can say this for a lot of teams, but one injury to the secondary, and you're absolutely cooked. Kendall Fuller goes down. Who's your second starting boundary corner? Going Cam Smith? Like, hopefully the second-year guy out of South Carolina can prove good things, but he played 20 defensive snaps last year. Like, that's the thing. Like, I would have liked to see more depth on this cornerback room, and which is why I think the wide receiver room is the best on this team, is because you have depth there with Eric Uzukama, River Craycraft, and Malik Washington that I feel comfortable stepping up if one of the top 3 goes down. The biggest weakness, surprise, 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 offensive guard. This should surprise absolutely no one. It's what we've been saying on the channel. I think anyone with a half a brain can really use their eyes and say, yeah, offensive guard is the biggest need and weakness for this Dolphins team. And here's what Mike Clay had to say. Said Robert Hunt, Miami's best guard last season, departed during the offseason, and Miami did not make a notable addition to replace him. Isaiah Wynn, Lester Cotton, Robert Jones, and Liam Eichenberg return after combining to account for 100% of the team's guard snaps not played by Hunt last season. Though all 4 had poor pass block win rates, after ignoring the position during April's draft, Miami doesn't have a short or long-term solution at either guard spot. And we've talked ad nauseum about the offensive line of the Miami Dolphins, and I agree. They don't have a long-term or short-term answer at the guard positions. Like, I'm cool with Isaiah Wynn, who they re-signed in the offseason, being a one-year guy, but after this season, like, the offensive guards on both the left and right side of the O-line, there isn't someone for the future here, and it's going to be the biggest need for the team entering next offseason as well. And this guy won't fill your future at right guard or left guard. I'm not trying to tell you that. But what I will try to tell you is that the Dolphins need to sign Greg Van Roten. And I don't know how many times I have to say this, and we've talked about that ad nauseum as well throughout this offseason. But Van Roten would be your starting right guard. He's better than Jones. He's better than Liam Eichenberg. He's better than Jack Driscoll. Like, he was really good for the Raiders last season. You have $16 million in cap space. I know you could use some of that to front load an extension for Javon Holland or Tua Tagovailoa. But to me, carve out $3-4 million of that, and sign Greg Van Roten, still have $12 million in cap space. Makes a lot of sense if you're the Miami Dolphins. All right, more to talk about with the Dolphins roster coming up in a bit, but we are sponsored by True Nutrition, and I am just so happy that they came on board because I take their supplements every single day. It can be incredibly difficult to find the right protein powder to match your body and fitness goals. That's why with True Nutrition, you can create your own fully customizable protein powder mix with the exact ingredients you want based on your activity, taste, diet, and goals. What's more, you can even see your nutrition facts in real time as you create your mix. This truly is sports nutrition designed by you. And I hate when companies brag about third-party testing. Supplement brands are supposed to do this per the FDA. True Nutrition takes this a step further. They don't just have third-party testing, they also first-party test to verify content. They've sent back truckloads of products to suppliers over the years that did not meet True Nutrition's purity standards. Another reason why I like True Nutrition, they have other supplements as well, like creatine monohydrate, which I use on a daily basis, as well as taking protein powder, and it tastes terrific. They have so many different flavors, like Thin Mint, cookie butter. They have some coffee flavors as well that I really like, and that's the specific one I want to showcase today is the Thin Mint. And you can use protein powder in so many different ways, right? You can put it and mix it with Greek yogurt to get super protein, which I actually like doing. That's what I do the most. You can mix it with water, milk to get your supplements and get your protein up, as well as combining it in a little ice cream action if you have a Ninja Creamy. Like, they have so many ridiculously good flavors. We talked about my own personal blend with the fudge brownie the other day and having a carb enzyme boost in it. This one's just a natural Thin Mint, which is just as good. You can go to their natural flavors, just standard protein, but you can also create your own mix, which is why nutrition is for everyone, because it's really with what you want. So get started today, and for a limited time, our listeners get 15% off your entire order when you use code CHAT at checkout. That's 15% off your order at TrueNutrition.com with promo code CHAT. Take the guesswork out of nutrition with True Nutrition. That link is in the description and comments of today's video. Get started today. I've already got started. Come join me. All right, the X factor for the Miami Dolphins roster is Achane, the running back who was drafted in the third round last year out of Texas A&M. And it's hard to disagree with this, right? Achane was one of the bright spots on this Dolphins offense last season. I mean, in 11 games played, he totaled 800 yards on just 103 carries, a ridiculous yards per carry metric that he possessed. He also had 11 total touchdowns. He was a big play machine. And if I had one word to you, to quote my good friend John Rothstein in the college basketball world, buy stock now on Achane. Why, you might ask? Well, even though they drafted Jaylen Wright in the fourth round of this past draft, and they still have Raheem Mostert, I think Achane's going to be even more productive and even more effective. He might not put up better raw stats than his rookie season because of the crowded room, but I think he'll be used more in the passing game. He'll be used more out of the backfield, and I really like what his role is going to be for the Dolphins this upcoming year. I'm excited to see what year two Achane has in store. The non-starter to know was fullback Alec Ingold. And for the real Dolphins fans out there, I don't think we have to talk about him in depth. Like, we all know who he is. We know his impact. We know how important he is to this Dolphins team as a run blocker, as a even pass blocker at times, and coming out of the backfield and making some catches as well. Ingold is one of the best fullbacks in the entire NFL. He's a real one, and I appreciate Ingold. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We talked about Greg Van Roten just a second ago, and I'll tell you what. If the Dolphins end up making a move and signing Greg Van Roten, we'll have a video. So don't miss out. Hit that sub button and join the channel today. Let's get into the ESPN projected starting lineups now. They gave the full projection of what Miami might roll out there if fully healthy week one of the NFL season against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I do have to give one note. They're kind of fraudulent for this. For some reason, they put 12 people on the offense and defense as starters. What? Like, 11 people play. Why is there 12? But either way, let's talk about the 12 people they didn't mention. Start with the backfield. Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback, and the two running backs they mentioned were Raheem Mostert and Achane. And I said they would start 12 people. There's obviously only one thing that is certain. You're going to have 5 offensive linemen out there, and you're going to have Tua Tagovailoa out there. How the other 5 people are lined up, that is up to Mike McDaniel and what he wants. There is going to be a lot of formations with 2 running backs. but that means some wide receivers are off the field, and there's going to be some lineups where in formations where there's no running backs, and there's a bunch of tight ends and wide receivers. That's the beauty of Mike McDaniel offense. The pass catchers, Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, Odell Beckham Jr., and Jonnu Smith. No surprise here, right? We talked about it earlier. I think this is the strongest point of the team, the wide receiver group. You have the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. I don't care if you want to say Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I don't care if you want to say Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Tyreek Hill is 1 or 2 in the NFL in terms of wide receiver rankings, and Jaylen Waddle has had 1,000 yards every year of his career. He's a stud. And I like Jonnu Smith coming into the fold, too. The best yak tight end in the entire NFL over the past 3 seasons. I think he's going to have a sneaky big year for Miami in this Mike McDaniel offense. Let's round out the offense with the offensive line, and the depth chart that we showed earlier is what ESPN went with as the projected starting lineup. Armstead, Wynn, blocking down the left side, Aaron Brewer being the Connor Williams replacement at center, with Robert Jones and Austin Jackson on the right side. Robert Jones is the one that we'll have to look at. Will he start? I don't know. If I had to guess, I think I'd lean Robert Jones, but Jack Driscoll, Liam Eichenberg, and Lester Cotton are going to try to push him for that starting right guard spot in training camp. All right, you've seen it. 12 names, not 11. But the Dolphins' projected starting offense. Grade it for me down below, A, B, C, D, or F. Gotta be honest, I think it's an A-. I think it's good as it's going to get. Let's get over to the defense now. We'll start with the defensive line, where I'm a little intrigued with what ESPN went with. They went with Zach Zeeler as the interior defensive lineman with 3 edges, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and Shaquille Barrett. Now, I got to be honest. If I were to project the starting lineup, and listen, it's hard to say starting lineups in the NFL because there's so many moving parts, and I'll just say this. If they were to go with first snap of the game defensively, who are the 4 defensive linemen out there that are lining up on the line? I think Calais Campbell is going to be out there over Shaq Barrett. Now, this is all depending on Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips being healthy, but if they are, you're going to have those 2 on the outside, and I think you're going to have Zach Zeeler and Calais Campbell on the inside. I think there's going to be a lot of formations where they have 3-4 edges out there at one time, but if I had to give my actual projection of starting lineup, I would go Calais Campbell over Shaq Barrett. Not saying that Barrett's going to or that Calais Campbell's going to be better than Barrett this year, but I just think he fits this team because he can play more inside than Shaq Barrett can. The 2 linebackers, no surprise here, David Long Jr. and Jordan Brooks. I expect a really big year for DLJ in his second season in Miami. I know it's a different style defense, but I just think he's got all the talent and athleticism in the world to be a do-it-all linebacker for Miami. And Jordan Brooks coming over from Seattle is going to be intriguing. Struggles in pass coverage. I think he's a better run-stopping linebacker than he gets credit for. He totaled a lot of tackles as a Seahawk over the past 4 seasons after being a first-round pick in 2020 out of the Texas Tech Red Raiders, I believe. I think Brooks is solid, man, and I think this duo is going to be one of the best linebacker duos in the NFL that no one is talking about. All right, the secondary to round out today's video. Jalen Ramsey, Kendall Fuller, and Kader Kohou are your starting corners, especially when they go to nickel, but not always going to be a nickel with 3 corners on the field. This is where it's interesting. Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer, and Marcus May at safety. And the point I want to focus on here is Marcus May. He's just not a starter. And that's no shade, I guess, thrown at Marcus May. He's a fine player, and I like the signing when they took him a couple weeks ago to be the team's 3rd safety. But as I mentioned with Devon Achane and how ESPN had 12 starters, they did the same thing on defense, and I think Marcus May's the one starter that's likely not going to be there. Sure, maybe they go May and Poyer on the backside and let Javon Holland be nickel or roam around at times, but to me, I just don't really think May is going to start for this team, and the only way he gets meaningful snaps is if Holland or Poyer goes down. Sure, May will see the field, but it's not like he's going to be a guy playing more than 50% of snaps. So if that's the case, I'm not labeling him a starter. All right, we did this for the offense, but now I want to look in a different direction. Grade the Dolphins' defense and scale it 1 through 10. We obviously can't. I wouldn't know what you guys grade the defense or offense if I asked you A, B, C, D, or F. So we'll go in a letter grade here, 1 to 10, and grade the Dolphins' defense. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we are going to have daily content every single day. That's what daily means. I'm Nic Rohloff. We're going to have you covered on everything surrounding the Fins. So go Fins, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.